Hello everyone. Today we're continuing our journey to create realistic looking 3D assets for Godot. Since we took care of all the basics in the last video, this one should be much shorter. And if you didn't see it before, check the link in the description or in the card that should be appearing on your screen right now. Also, as a full disclaimer, this tutorial is totally based on another one that I've watched, which is also in the description, and you should also be seeing the card of that tutorial in your screen now. And it is much more in-depth than my tutorial will be. Mine will be more streamlined and simple, and also like an exercise for myself to try to make this great again after I did that tutorial. So if you want more information, I suggest you go over there to see in more detail how to make things. And I'll also want to shout out Stupid Game Experiments YouTube channel. This guy is pretty fun and interesting to watch. He talks about the differences and similarities between Unreal, Unity, and Godot in almost all of his videos. And you know that Unreal is the engine most known to having realistic game assets. And he also talks about them, especially in his most recent video regarding Unreal 5. So definitely check him out. He's a great guy. Okay, so first thing, Blender. Let's create a general file. We don't need camera or light. And we already have the shape that we actually need for a crate. So a crate is a cube with more details on it. Another note, for my tutorial, I have barely any memory, so I don't remember almost any of the shortcuts in Blender. So maybe this will be helpful for you. Maybe I'll drive you crazy. Let me know in the comments which of the two you are. So first thing, as you notice, the cube has, or a crate has these like rounded corners. How do we do that? In Blender, there's a thing called Bevel. If you'll see here, object mode, you can change to edit mode, or you can use tab to do it. This is one of the few shortcuts that I actually remember. And within edit mode, what you can do is edit where the vertices, edges, or faces are. What we'll do is click A to select everything and click here in Bevel. Just click and you can choose how much you want to bevel. You can also add the amount of beveling you're doing if you just click again. Or if you click and use your mouse wheel while holding, so I'll just make it like this. Now, one other side note, I'll click tab once again. You'll notice that the edges are not very smooth. To smooth out the edges, you'll need auto smooth the edges. So just hit space. If this doesn't work, check our previous tutorial. I talk about that in that tutorial. And you search for smooth. So shade smooth will shade it properly like this. You'll notice that very soon that we'll need to change something about that. Okay, so back to edit mode. Something else that we want is a way to make this hole in every side of the cube. So I can click here in faces, select this face, move my camera. And if I use Inset, this one, I can move things to the center and create more vertices like this, however I like. But notice I'm only making this in one face. So to do it in all, I hold Shift and select all 4 faces that I want to do. And it will do in all of them at the same time. So now I can inset something. And then I use this extrude one to make it go inside, but you notice it's not going, it's actually going up or down. So to fix this, you just hold here and select extrude along normals. So we'll go in. Nice. So now you notice that the shade is pretty weird again. To fix this, you want to go to one of these places, which I don't actually remember now. And after a few minutes, I finally found it here in this icon, Object Data Properties. in normal, you can just select this auto smooth, which will basically create a threshold of when to smooth and when to not to smooth. So now we properly have a kind of crate-like thing. I'll also add extrudes on the top and bottom, but a little bit different, just because I want. I'll make it smaller. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah. And then inset. And finally, one other thing that I can do is bevel once again these edges over here. So what I can do is come here to select edges. I can select one by one, or use Alt, click the edge. I'll select the entire loop at the same time. So I'll do this for all of these and the top one too. I'll just leave the bottom as is. Bevel, and I can use my mouse to bevel. I think I'll just leave it like this, just a little bit. Looks fine. The next part is, if you look here, is to make these plank-like structures, which is on the top of each face. I will get one of these faces, just click face select. You can select this face. I can move this face like this. But what I want to do is to duplicate it. So I can duplicate and right click to make it return to where it was in the beginning, and separate by loose parts. If I do this or selection, one of the two, it will separate this plank into a separate object. I'll rename it to plank just so that I can remember what everything is. I'll select this plank, and I now can just make sure for it to be in the center of this X direction. To do this, I'll just go back to edit mode, go here to item once I select everything, and my Y needs to be 0. So just make it 0. So now that is 0, I can actually go back to object mode and rotate it. Say by 45 in the Z. Nope. In the X. There we go. Okay. And we now want to extend it to be outside the borders, right? So just scale. I use this Z scale here. If you have trouble using the scale like this, you can also change it to local so that it just scales in the direction of the object itself. And now I want to extrude it to actually give it some volume. So go back to edit mode, select everything with A, extrude. You can just extrude like this, and you can either extrude the other side or just select everything back in object mode and move it so that it actually goes to the left. And now to make it center, I will go back to edit mode actually and make Y 0 again. And there we go. Okay, so now it's properly centered. Let's go to the next part, which is to extrude or create the other planks making this an X. Maybe you want to do something that I tried before, which is just to select this, duplicate it, and rotate in the X, something like this. But you'll notice that the center is like weirdly shapen, and this is because there are now two things on top of each other over there. This will give a lot of problem later when we try to texture things. So instead of doing this, we'll use the same procedure that the other video talks about, which is to go to edit mode, select everything, and go to loop cut. That basically creates a cut on the entire 3D object like this, depending on you have X or Y or Z. You see it changes depending on how you do. So we'll create a loop cut here and bevel it like this. Once again, I wrongly did Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, so I had an extra plank. And from here, I can just select this face and extrude it to the other side. And this one, same thing. Nice. Now I just need the same thing all around the cube. So I'll go back to object mode, select it. I'll just make sure Y is 0, it keeps leaving 0 for some reason. There we go. So I can just select it, copy, paste, and change the rotation in X, no, Y, no, Z. So just put this, not 45, 90. Select this one again, 180, again, 270. So now it should be all around the cube. And this is all for the modeling. Let me just fix the smooth once again, because I forgot to do this in this new mesh that I did. Smooth, shade smooth. So from now on, we'll try to paint it. But to properly paint a 3D object, I'll introduce now a new concept, which is UV Unwrapping, which is basically how to make a 3D object project into a 2D plane, which is the textures themselves, right? The textures are 2D images, and we'll unwrap the 3D object into the 2D image style thing so that we can paint on top of it. Just to simplify things, I'll select everything with A and use join, just to make it a single crate like this. I'll save so that I don't lose everything and come to UV editing. If I select everything, you'll notice that it is actually already unwrapped, and I won't actually change. If you want to know how to manually do this process, check out the video in the description below. But we'll definitely need some manual tweakings in other meshes that we'll try to do in later episodes. So this will be good enough for now, but notice that this could be, for example, moved around, for example, and something like this. And you also notice that these things here are not there if I select them. To automatically do this, I'll just select everything and type Smart UV. So this one. You feel free to mess this around. The default is good enough, and you can see that now everything is properly unwrapped into the texture. So just save this as is. To optimize more, eventually we'll see how to select everything and use this UV things eventually, but this is good enough for now. So once again, just as last episode, we'll export FBX. Okay, and go to Substance Painter. I will create a new file. Same thing here. I'll select the cube. This one is create that we just did. I'll have it OpenGL. Okay. Once it's here, texture settings, bake. Let's make it 2K2, bake. And we are ready to paint. So to properly paint it, what I'll do is first just delete this layer and have a total fill layer. This fill layer, I want it to be just a base color, just so that I have a reference to what I want it to become. So maybe something like this. It is pretty rough and it's not metallic at all. I'll save this. And from here, feel free to do whatever you like with your crate. In my case, what I'll try to do is use the automatic generated things from Substance Painter just to make it simpler to me. One of them is wood. So since Create is made with wood, you can try these wood styles. I'll take this one here, each vein, and just drag and drop. And now I have a proper wooded crate. Now you can notice that the patterns not necessarily match what you want. I'll look around to see if everything is fine. Everything looks fine in general. But if you find, for example, that these this face is different from this face, like one vein is going up and the other one is going sideways. Check the other tutorial in the description to fix this. You also notice that due to the way the automatic unwrapping did things, there's a seam right here. I don't mind because I want it to be as fast as possible and at the same time good enough, and whatever I do becomes a game, someone else can make it better. That's basically my goal with the tutorial and also with what I do on 3D for now, since I'm just an amateur. Something that we can also do is come here and edit things that we have. For example, I want a darker colored, more or less like this probably. Sure. You can change a little bit of the wood fiber and veins. And you can, in my case, what I want to do is increase the height of the veins, like this, going a little bit more inwards. The dirt, see how the dirt is? I'll make the dirt a little bit more pronounced. And this fiber here, I will make actually it go up with a base color more whitish. It's fairly interesting. Some people prefer less veins. I prefer more usually, but do however you think it's better. So going back to RQ, you can notice that also something else that we can do is these blanks over here. So to do that, we'll make it manually. There are automatic procedures that we can also use, but we'll make a manual painting layer. So I'll just create a folder, not here, outside. Can't I just make a folder outside? There we go. I'll call this blanks because it's the blanks that I'll try to make. I'll just create a fill layer for now, but into this folder, the blanks, I want it to be fairly dark. The blanks will also be going in, so decrease the highness. I'll make the roughness of the blank divisions pretty high too, and that's fine. So you notice I just painted over everything, but I don't actually want everything. To fix this, I'll create a black mask, which will allow me to just paint where I want the seams to be. As you can see, I can paint however I like. But I don't want to paint over the X2. So something that I can do is, instead of making this on top of everything, I can create in the blanks also a black mask where I select only the faces that I actually want the blanks to be. So in my case, will be everything behind, but it's hard to paint like this. So what I can do is just use this polygon fill tool, and Substance Painter is intelligent enough to know that what is a polygon and what isn't. So I just change this to a white mask so I can see everything that it's doing. You can see that this one and this one are enabled, this one not. I just click as white. Oh, I need to click back to blanks. Here we go. And this one. So because I changed this one, I want this white. There we go. Okay, so this is entirely white. This one is just on the faces, and I don't actually want this. I can change to black and click here because I don't want these things to be blanked. Okay, so back to this fill layer and back to the drawing tool. I'll change this back to black mask, and I can just paint where the blanks are. So I can either use this mode, the F2 mode, or F3 mode if you prefer to just draw like this on these layers here. I'll use this one. So you can click, and if you click here and then release and click Control or Shift actually, Control Shift. It will make these lines that if you just click, it will make a proper line to wherever you want to go. I'll make my brush smaller. And is this good? I think this is good. So if I click here, Control Shift, click here, and so on and so forth, I can just draw everything that I want. I'm not trying to be perfect here. I want to make some planks which are interesting to see, but not perfect, because it creates both less than perfect atmosphere in the sense that it seems something that was done manually. And notice that this is pretty bad because it's slanted. So you know what? I'll actually do like this. And there we go. Save and back to F2. You can notice that we have these planks now. So as you can see here, also the planks, some of the planks are like a different color. So let's also make this. In the same folder, I'll create another fill layer. Inside another black mask. This fill layer will just have a different color. This color, this, and let's try it out. It's not very pretty, right? Let's make it better. And something else that I can do is not be so intense in the sense that I take over all the color that is here. So I'll just click here and make it not so pronounced, something like this. And I'll make it more brown. We'll click back here, erase, we'll just erase this, go back to 3, and do the same thing that I just did. Using this, I can select a brush which is square, and this will help me a bit. So I can just click here and search for square. So this one seems good. I'll make it a little bit bigger. It's rotated a bit. You know why? Here we go. Save, go back to F2, and we have something here. Maybe this one is better to be. Nice. Next step, you go back here, you'll notice that there is some dirt on the bottom of the crate. So to make this, there's a dirt generator as well. Which one is it? This one. And to use this dirt, I'll actually create a new fill layer, or I'll put everything in that folder, just call it dirt. I'll put this inside. And the ground dirt, I can just drag and drop into the fill layer like this. So we'll basically create a mask on top where the dirt over here, which I'll make like mossy, maybe greenish. And once again, I'll just reduce the amount that it creates. You can also come in here and change a little bit of the things that it does. But in general, I think this is fine enough. Another way of achieving the same thing as this fill layer that we used, the entire fill thing, is to use a paint layer like this. So I'll actually switch, because we can do a little bit more things with the paint layer. So just I'll get rid of this. I'll actually move this mask, copy mask, and come here, paste mask. So now I have this mask. And with this paint layer, you can change this to pass through, this one and the folder one. And you can see the paint itself is the texture. that is already applied to the object. So if I click on the paint layer and right click, I can add, say if I add a fill layer, I can just fill just as the other one that we were doing, this one here. Or right click and use levels. So with a level, I can just change the hue of whatever I have. Let's say I want to make it a little bit darker. I can even say right click and add another level and change its height. By default, it won't change once again. So you need to come here, go into height, and also change this to pass through. This one and this one. So now the height is appearing here, as you can see. And if I change this, you'll see that I'm changing the average height. Well, I think I'll just make it more rough, increasing the height like this. But you could also change other things as you wish. Okay, so this is another way of doing the same thing, but with a little bit more possibilities. So we have some dirt, which we could also change. Let me go back to the dirt. And something else that I can do with this dirt is just to come in the mask and edit some things. So maybe I want it to be, let's balance this fine. Oops. I don't actually want this upper portion. I'll make the scale very low. In the mask editor, you can choose how much blur you want. I don't think I want any blur. I'll make it like this. Increase the contrast. So feel free to just mess with all the parameters and choose whatever you think it's interesting for you. And with this, I think the dirt is pretty fine. You notice my dirt is trying to come out. Something else that I could do, but I won't just because of time, is to try to remove the wooden veins from where the dirt is. Just try to just remove all the height information from wherever this mask is matching. So it's something else that we could do, like maybe adding not a fill, but levels. I have no idea if this would work. As you can see, if I do this, it's just moving these dirt parts, which is not exactly what I want. So I still need to learn things. This is something that I don't know how to do now, but it will take some more time. Nice. And from here, you can just do whatever you like. There's like other dirt, for example, cavities, and try to make the cavities a little bit different. For example, let's make a fill layer with this. Move this on top. And the cavities, I can change the color of the cavities, for example, and the cavities are like bright because, I don't know, it's frigid cold wherever you are. And you notice that there's like this little thing here. You can just come to create a folder, for example, put this into the folder, create a white mask, and paint a black on top of the mask to remove whatever you don't want. See if everything else is fine. Yeah, looks fine. And once again, this frigid cold thing, I'll call it cold. You can come here and just edit everything that you see and maybe make it a little bit better. What I will do is change its height, make it a little bit pronounced. It's very rough. Looks fine. And let's say there's also some blood marks. So something that Substance Painter also has many brushes. So if you come to brushes, there are like regular ones like these, and some like more detailed ones like these, or like scratches. So for example, I can create a new folder here outside. I'll say scratches, and the scratches can have a mask. I'll just make a black mask for now. Inside it, I'll have a fill layer of, well, let me just put something so that I can see. Back here over here, select this, and I can create the marks, as you can see. I'll make like strong scratches, a very large brush. These scratches obviously needs to go in, so I'll go to this fill layer. I'll say it's going in because it's scratches. I want it to be like some bark below it, or maybe something like this. So it's fairly scratched. Let's say what else we can do. Maybe some other marks, imperfections wherever. And let's say there's some blood stain also, so just create a new folder once again, black mask, fill layer, inside it some blood, make it red, it's going out, it's fairly metallic. This looks interesting. Once again, I don't know how to paint, so this is just random things that I'm trying out. Say something like this. And I don't actually know why I can't edit the metal part. And now that we have an interesting 3D model, once again, let's export the textures. So you've probably created a Godot version just based on output on the proper place, which is not set up properly. Export. And now back on Godot, let's do the same manual process. We are not using emission, so it doesn't matter. And I think this is it. Just save. I'll save into the same folder. And let's instantiate it in our world. And here it is. Not too shabby if I say so myself. Though I'm pretty sure many other people will have better artistic skills to make it better, but I hope you liked it. In the next video, we'll try more organic things like apples and pears and try out the sculpting part of Blender. See you in the next video. Bye bye.